feel like there's a lot.
Okay, it's 1 o'clock. It is time for our annual compensation board meeting on this Thursday, June 18th, 2026 at 1 p.m. The emails did get sent out, phone calls. We do have a few. Sheriff is out of town, county attorney's in court, one denied.
Erica has personal issues there, yeah. Personal stuff, yeah.
Personal, I
Yep.
know the Steve is out, medical, Steve Larson.
Grandbabies.
So the three of you and the
You
three
be
of us are the compensation board for this meeting. So I think Gordon handed out or does have some paperwork. He's up to current. He's been Macon, so he knows all about the CPI and everything going on. So I'll let him kind of explain where the trends
Yeah.
are. And
Yeah, maybe just facts and figures if anybody cares, and most everybody knows we took Gary. CPI was 2.69 this year, so it's down a little bit. It was 2.9 the year before, 4.1 the year before that, 8 the year before that, 4 the year that. So CPI has been fairly high lately. And kind of got to remember that because that has something to do with as we talk here. And maybe another interesting fact that I just kind of came across when we had our workers' comp thing, we spend $7,298,000 in our payroll in Roosevelt County. I didn't realize that until I saw that. $7.2 million in payrolls what Roosevelt County pays. And we have basically a $20 million budget. It's I guess 28 million, we got reserves. So on a $20 million budget, that's 30% of our budget goes to wages. So wages is a huge deal. Sideline, interesting facts, maybe. So what this meeting is about is the elected officials. That's all we're talking about today, and that's what this board is just for elected officials. And elected officials is the clerk and recorder's base salary is what everything is based on this. And that base salary you see there is $73,837. And then everybody else's salary is based on that. You have the 90% deputies, the 85% deputies, the 80% deputies within the elected official spots. And then you move down to the sheriff's department, and the sheriff's department, all their undersheriff and deputies are based on a percent of the sheriff's salary. So a lot of people say, well, elected officials don't need a raise. If we don't get a raise, nobody gets a raise within this sheet. So it affects all the deputies, and that's by statute. I mean, we can't change that. It is what it is. And then the department heads, we have the list of department heads. They're based on the percent of the clerk and recorder salary also. So this meeting just doesn't affect our elected eight elected officials. It affects a lot of people underneath each one of those elected officials. It affects by the percent. So that's the. I guess there any questions on that? That's kind of the way it's always been and the way it is by statute. So last year it looks like we added $2,600 to our base. And this year, if you do 100% just COLA to keep not getting ahead on anything, it'd be a $2,000 raise. And if we've kind of only been keeping up with COLA the last 3 or 4 years because it's been so darn high that the elected officials never get ahead. It's just strictly maintaining with COLA. And so I mean, I'd like to propose a minimum of $3,000 raise to up to 35, but that way it'd be basically a 4% raise. You do COLA plus 50 cents would give you 3,000, or COLA plus 35 would give you a COLA plus $1.
I have a lot of figures that, and we won't go through all of them, but we currently have a road supervisor that's only making 99 cents more than his top employee. And I think because of what Gordon said, we've been sticking with whatever, that gap has gotten closer and closer and closer. So my thing is to do, if you do the 3,500, then your county attorney is getting the cost of living. If you do any lower than that, he's not even getting the cost of living.
And that's why we don't do percents with elected officials, because attorneys so much higher. That's just the going rate for attorneys. It kind of skews it by percent. So that's why I've always done dollars for elected officials. Percents. I mean, you can talk percents, but we ended up with a dollar amount.
With the piggybacking on what Tracy said, the road foreman's at 90, is he at 90 or 92?
I think it's 92, I believe.
Yeah. So for the last, at least for when I've been in here, the factors in have come in at the cost of living is all the elected officials, and that's where the gap is closed from the department heads and or deputies to the elected officials. Everybody else, and I don't want to get muddy, but to explain my point, if you're on the regular pay scale, or it was just last month, through Tracy's office, you can go up to 90% deputy. Once you're at 90% deputy, you cap there. So if you're under 90% deputy, everybody gets a, dare we call it a merit raise or an annual raise plus a cost of living. So the pay scale for the road foremans and some of the deputies that has narrowed down to be a lesser amount for the fact that the elected officials have just opted for cost of living. So that was just a little elaboration on that. I hope that helped.
Yeah, the last time we did the percentage was in 2009 after development. So we've been away from that for.
In some of
almost 20
these,
years.
some I guess if you want to get into the weeds a little bit more, vacancy savings. I think Tracy's down 1.5 employees. They're making do with that. The road department, I think they're down a couple employees. So when you start adding vacancy savings, we've got another FTE for our office that we haven't filled. So those positions are still budgeted. I don't know, Betty, are you full? Are you?
So far,
But you're half. You got
3/4. What is she?
3/4. Mrs.
Yeah.
Arndt.
Oh, pretty much full time.
But along with that, we have not changed our FTEs in 10 years of it.
Yes.
We've been at 110 FTEs
Yeah.
for dinner, which is great. We don't want to grow the
Yeah.
government. We want to keep our FTEs and pay our people that we have. Plus, along with no FTEs, our mills have stayed at 35,000 for 10 years. So we can't grow our government because our mills aren't growing. But yet we're saved by having oil revenue.
Well, and our vacancy savings just between my office and the county attorney's office is almost 350,000 a year. With the vacancies that we have just in our two offices, and there's several other offices that have.
Yeah, and you know, if we don't need them, we don't want to have them.
Right.
I mean, that's like I say, that's a huge expense, wages, and that's the biggest expense. So if we can get by with what we have, that's the way we should do it for government. We don't want to have people sitting around doing nothing. But yeah, so I guess I pat ourselves on the back. Our FTE haven't went up. I know the state of Montana can't say that. And I know a lot of counties can't say that, they've grown quite a bit. So I think we've done a really good job of keeping our FTEs in check. And our budgets have been good. We've always had green, we've never overspent budgets. Only one person overspent their budget about 3 years ago. But our budget is holding good and our revenues are fine.
Well, my head about one of us, and we had a meeting this morning with Mako Finance and HR. In my head about spin off when one of the counties had to do
Budget amendment
and they're talking about all these budget amendments that they're having to do
constantly.
And to me, that's why the budget is set, so you know what you gotta spend. And I don't know, my head about exploded on that, but
But I think they were doing line item budgets, we never do that.
So we do maybe one budget amendment a year,
If
maybe.
if your line runs red, they change it. In our budget, if your one line reads, your total budget's good, you don't do it, we don't do it. You don't, by statute, you don't have to do it.
Well, the auditor said you want a real picture at the end of the year, so you know where to put more money.
And that's why they're arguing over it, because
Yes.
I think auditors say not to do it like Richland does, and we've never done it that way.
What do you have for questions, Gary?
I've got a bunch of questions.
Okay, fire away.
I don't mean to hold you guys up. but
No,
you guys-
this is you're the representative for the public today, so.
Number one, I spent 12 years on the city council at one point. I know a little bit about budgets, this kind of stuff. I have a lot of questions. Number one, I want to pick on Betty's office a little bit. Number one, the state of Montana requires you to do blah, 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 blah. And you collect all the revenues for the county for the state of Montana.
No,
Kinda.
Kind of.
kind of. Motor vehicle, yes.
And that's another part of the deal I was gonna get into too. Number one, does the state of Montana, you know, they require you to have Betty do different stuff. They require you to have Tracy do different stuff. They require, you know, this kind of stuff that they have you. Does the state of Montana compensate the county back for those?
They're called unfunded mandates.
Yeah.
They don't fund them, but they mandate us to do them. So our local taxpayers end up paying for it.
So. Granted, I know that can't change here, but I mean, that's
So we
something,
fight it constantly.
I mean, that, you know, unfunded budget, unfunded
Mandates.
mandates drives me up a wall.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
that's just that person. I mean, it's, if you're gonna require me to do something, by God, put forth the funding to do it.
They just, here last session, there was a big thing on paying our jail staff a certain percent
Longevity now.
and
Okay.
longevity, and they are requiring us to do it. They're not funding it, they're just saying you have to do it.
Okay, my next question is,
That was the latest one. There's lots of videos, all kinds in our office with,
on Betty's side here, I was reading some stuff here a while back, the state of Montana is talking about doing away with having the motor vehicle division within her office and do a standalone office.
Good luck.
and that'd be great billings, but not here.
Right, and I told you, is there anything, is that something that's gonna happen?
AAA offices are gonna take it over and stuff like that in the billings area.
So the Attorney General thinks that so right now, the driver's license services is state. They actually employ the driver's examiners. So the Attorney General's theory is that that is working so great, which it's not. We've gone through a driver's examiner. I think we're on our maybe third since he took over.
Sorry about that, guys.
When you're retired, you don't have to worry about turning the ringer off.
You know, yeah, I mean, you know, it's just, it's one of those deals where, sorry about that, I didn't mean that.
So, and another point, as far as my office goes, the motor vehicle system. When I first started, they used to pay for all of our equipment. The state used to pay for all of our equipment for motor vehicle. They used to send us paper, toner, supplies. They've never paid for salaries. And they also used to do once a year training where they would pay for one of my staff to go. That is all gone.
Computers.
So is that
All our
anything that you folks could do, is you three group and as a group of commissioners statewide to put pressure on getting some of that money back?
It could be brought to
Mako
Mako.
fights it all the time.
Right, and I don't know,
And we fight the bills when it happens.
But I mean, I really hate unfunded
Yeah. Oh,
mandates.
But I guess
happens all the time.
what I'm trying to figure out is how he thinks he's going to afford a budget of hiring
All these people,
staff.
yes.
I mean, I can understand they want to privatize some of it, but you can't privatize it in small counties. How is that gonna work? Those businesses aren't gonna set up shop here.
Mhm.
Hey guys, sorry about what I think we've seen that with the appraiser. I mean, the Department of Revenue, sorry. You know, I think we've seen some of the rebuttal from that where they
Yeah.
closed all these Department of Revenue down.
They screwed that up. Bullock
Yeah.
administration really screwed that up.
Yeah, they
DOR.
have 28 offices, half the offices in the state of Montana.
So where you're getting your income, and they figured it was 630 million, I think it was, that they're not finding right now of these values because of that.
I mean, I mean, the fight between state government wants to blame county because we're frivolous spenders.
when it's actually the school districts.
But
Yes.
when
When
you
you look
flip
at
it
your pie chart.
around,
Yeah.
it's an oddity in itself, and the frustration, I know Betty's come down and she has ground her teeth about to her gum line with some of the state stuff, and
And I guess that's what concern is an outside,
Yeah.
private citizen. I mean, is the county doing everything they can, or the county's
We are.
statewide doing
We are.
what they can
We're
to
fighting
try
all the time.
to combat some of this?
And we knock a lot of it down, but some of it is, it's through.
Another question I have, are you funding depreciation? And what I mean is funded depreciation. Are you setting,
We,
go ahead,
we set money aside like for graders and computers and yes, we have
For
a
upgrade.
reserve to do that
and you fund it on a yearly basis?
annual basis. Put some
And just
money
because
aside.
a certain department doesn't, what about if a certain department doesn't use up his budget? Does that go back into that funded depreciation?
No, it rolls back into their budget, usually
For the
usually,
following year?
usually it goes into their capital improvements, so they can buy something bigger. If they're saving for something, they don't spend all their money, that green goes back in the budget.
And
we
if some,
did that, as a prime example, we did that last year, they had 300,000-ish. Derek road foreman came in with a list of upgrades that were desperately needed. And if you've read the paper, there's been a couple of semis, and that was some part of the budget line item that wasn't spent, that we were able to move that into another line, so they keep their green, I guess.
you can cross off, I
Yeah.
mean, your budgets will allow it. Just because I have it set up for a road grader doesn't mean that I can't come in if I've got a semi that's
Mhm.
dead or whatever, that I can't.
I would say 10-15 years ago, that was always a big deal. I gotta spend my budget because it's gonna lose it. And
But
we
that's
don't
one
want
way
that
out.
to happen.
Yes.
We want it, if you're not gonna spend it, we'll roll it in your budget, save it for something big.
I guess another thing is, I want to bring up, I'm retired. I used to be in public business. I own my own business, that kind of stuff. And I see how hard it is to get employees throughout everywhere. I mean, whether it be in Wolf Point, Montana, or Culbertson, or in Billings, or Denver, or wherever, it's really hard to get people to work. And I think that we need to do as entities, we have to do whatever we can to keep these people within reason. Some people you're never gonna satisfy. I understand this. I mean, where you can throw them out stupid money, well, I don't wanna work that hard. I mean, and that happens all the time. But I mean, so I'm not against giving increases as long as they're warranted.
And I think if you, and I did this when I came in and I was pretty green to it, but if I look around Roosevelt County as a whole, I think the county past administration and current has done a pretty good job to stay current with the time. We're never going to stay current with cost of living. I visited with a lot of the employees here, but I think we've been able to make it feasible to keep those employees here. And it's hard enough to find them, let alone train them and then get them to stay. So I think the county has set a pretty good trend. Some of the office might have different conversations for me, but I see a lot of employees that are 5, 10, 15 years into it, 20 years into it. I think I think the salary schedule has treated them to where they are able to stay.
And I think that's very key. But on the same token is, I mean, the people that are sitting in this room are not gonna be here 10 years from now.
I wish you were right.
Well, I mean, for the most part.
Yeah.
For the most part. So, the other part about it, which brings it back to my second part of this, is you have to train people for tomorrow. I mean, you always want to have that person that can do all of your job, and you not be threatened, or all of your job, and you not be threatened. Just because you're gone, that doesn't mean the wheel stops moving.
That's always tough. I mean, Tracy had a key person quit, so she's Took on 2-3 years. to get
But I mean,
that.
and I guess that gets back on the compensation side of it, which we have to keep that up, but on the same token is, I'd like to be able to. We need to be able to instill within you guys, within your people here, and granted, they're elected. I know you don't have a total control of it, but you do have some controls over it, to make sure that they're training people to pick up the step. When she has a broken leg and can't come in for 2 months.
Yeah, I'm bringing the bat tomorrow.
Whatever,
I
I
mean-
think Roselle County right now as a whole, just for me, looking at the departments and everybody we have right now. Is doing an excellent job of that,
Pretty solid.
yes.
And I don't know what your name is, sir.
My name is Thomas Micro. I'm the county attorney.
You're the county attorney? Okay. Thomas Gary.
Nice meeting you guys.
Sorry for that, guys.
What I came in late. I apologize.
But I think with what you're saying too has some merit. From the other side as elected officials, and I know Tracy has said this, even if she takes 2 days off a day, you can elaborate, but a week off, she's got her computer and the cell phone. So Tom, same way from the other side of it, and I can speak for us that, maybe we might not be as visible as some. I know Gordon's been meetings, but I've texted him or Lindsay, the availability there also for the elected officials. And I think that goes hand in hand with having that person trained in the office to be able to, we might not be able to cover 100% of it, but hopefully they can cover 80% of it or 90% of it and have that on question they can call. I think we're pretty good
Yes.
in that aspect of it. We've been pretty fortunate, I think, where that goes. But I get what you're saying. You don't want to train your replacements, but you got to train your replacements.
There's nothing wrong with training your replacement.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong at all. I mean, if you're scared about training your replacement, you're not doing your job. Yeah.
True that.
I'm just kind of maybe unique. So
You're kind of a little different.
But I mean, it's in the world that I'm from, I mean, it was, the more you have people trained, better off you are.
Well, I think it also pushes you when you're in that spot. For instance, that makes you work a little bit harder too if your people underneath you are well trained. It just holds you to a different standard as well. At least it does for me.
And it should.
It's that old school that if I hire somebody, I don't want them to out on ranch or auction. I don't want them to outwork me. I'm gonna work right alongside them kind of thing. So
Anyway, that was
your
it's my little deal.
Betty, what do you think?
I'm trying to keep a positive attitude.
Some days that's hard.
Yeah. Well, I guess with the compensation board, it really seems like before we ever meet, you guys already have your meeting plans meeting, which is fine. That's it's your decision.
Mhm.
It's
all of our decisions.
You make the decision. We don't get to make a
we
choice.
don't get a vote.
We don't get a vote.
But the only thing, we have to have some, maybe I like to have the figures kind of thought ahead
Yeah.
before this.
And that's fine.
And that's kind of where I'm always at. So I kind of got some ideas either we should, that was where I threw out the.
I will say this though, I think over the years, for as long as I've been here, I don't feel like I've been slighted by any means. I make a very good wage for this area, I feel. A raise, yes, is always appreciated, because Tom can always buy more equipment that he crashes.
Hey.
But I'm appreciative for what I've received, I guess.
And we have good health insurance. I mean, that's a huge benefit,
Well-
that's an $8.50 benefit for all employees, is our health insurance.
Well, and
That's huge.
Does that show on their paychecks? No, why not?
and retirement
We're trying, that shows,
and
we don't, the other insurance.
holiday.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's like,
I'd say every week, we remind people a little while.
it's the, and that's something that should show up in the checks so that they realize this stuff is coming. I mean, this is additional to this. Okay, so where you've got a person that's making $50,000 a year, and you've got another
18,000 for insurance.
$18,000 for insurance, and you've got another $10,000 for what you put away for the retirement fund. So all of a sudden that $50,000 check is now
That's
$70,000
pretty nice.
or 75,000, whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know that. The younger generations, I'm going a generation or two underneath me, view those as benefits.
I don't know.
I think they just look at what's it.
They want to look what they got in their pocket, what they
Yeah.
can spend on it.
And I think that's what a lot of the. I shouldn't say a lot, but I think that's what some people look at, is how many greenbacks do I get shoved in my pocket at the end of the day?
We've lost a lot of people for higher wages because the benefits weren't.
They're not hired on for the benefits side of it. I am very, very thankful for the benefits. I am.
Exactly,
But I mean,
yes.
so why not show that on the check? Those costs they have that they're facing.
Well, the premium shows on their checks, just doesn't come out, I mean, it shows what we're paying. Okay, well,
But I have,
oh, go ahead, no, you go.
I understand what Betty's saying, though. I mean, Betty's looking at her check here, and if she gets, if she gets the $3,000 increase, that's not 2.6% of what she's making. Am I wrong?
Mhm. Correct.
I understand what she said. I mean, if you go, if you take, 3% or $3,000, I get that.
Yeah. Oh, and I definitely see. I sit here and for me, it's a double-edged sword, right? You want to treat the employees great, you want to,
You can't break the
represent them. But I don't want to cut all the taxpayers, but on the other side of it, I don't want to cut all the, you know what I mean? It's that double-edged sword. I'm between a rock and a hard place, maybe a better terminology.
Well, you're limited to what you could do because of what you have for total funds. It's not like you're able to go out and
Yeah.
solicit.
And some more product.
There you go.
So, I mean, that's
In
where,
our budget, we'll handle a $3,000 to $3,500 raise.
Well, like I said, our vacancy savings alone in our two offices will cover that for the whole year.
I mean, the vacancy savings, and I tip my hat to all the offices that have been able to, I don't want to say get by, have managed and have found a way to make it work, being one down and not just going out and saying, well, I have that FTE, so I'm going to fill it regardless of the workload. And I commend all of those departments for saying that, we're all right. At this point in time, I don't. If something changes, then they have that option to come back. Tom's been without a deputy for a couple of years, 2 years, so
Going on.
you add that up over 2 years.
Find even if you want one.
Right.
I mean, Tracy's office the same way. We tried. I mean, so yeah, with the vacancy savings in there. I'm open to anything anybody has to say and start having a conversation. I will apologize to Tom when you start throwing numbers around on a CPI side of things. County attorney is kind of generally the one with the pay scale. If it's a dollar amount that comes out a little on the slighted side.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna propose the 3,500, so Tom can get the
Puts
cost of
in
living.
at the 2 point,
I guess that's my proposal.
that puts it the 2.6.
Yeah, so if I may be heard,
Yeah,
apologize, came a little late at court. But I would go along with Tracy, just asking for 3,500 I pulled it up and Social Security paid cost of living COLA at 2.8 this year. And off my base salary, it would have to come out to $3,468 just to be cost of living. I'm not asking for a pay increase, no, just cost of living. I did call Dylan Jensen in Valley County, and he's the most comparable county attorney in our area in terms of felonies filed or misdemeanors filed and everything. And he said Valley County just gives them cost of living every year. They don't do flat increases, they do cost of living, but he is at 145 right now in terms of just his base pay in Valley County. And the other thing to consider is my base salary is my deputies based off of that. So while we may not need a deputy right now, down the road, my base salary will determine the pay for the deputy. That helps us remain competitive at that point. And then for my office specifically, not other offices, but it is in state statute that essentially 50% of my salary is paid for by the state. So when you kind of look at it from that perspective, half of what I'm being paid by the county, or what my base salary is at the county, half of it isn't being paid by the taxpayers of just the county. And then when you also factor in that my fines and fees that I assess people in various cases, 50% of it does go back to the county. 50% goes to state, 50% goes to the county. So when you kind of look at the larger picture, you know, my over may seem like a very large number for an attorney, but that's just cost doing business. And the doctors are expensive, accountants are expensive, but in the grand scheme of things, state's paying for half, and then my fines and fees that I bring in help cover my salary too. So the total percentage that the county actually covers for my base salary isn't the eye-opening, oh wow, he's making 123,000. The county doesn't pay that total amount.
I guess that kind of answers some of that question, and I was unaware that the state, I should have known that,
You
but
know, and that's back to what I asked, you weren't here for the other question I had. Where, you know, the state mandates require that you do blah, 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 blah. So why doesn't state fund part of that, which they're funding part of your salary?
Correct.
So why doesn't it come on her side, her side, her side?
good question. One, I think, Lori, I think you guys are pretty state heavily mandated up in your office as well. And I think, don't quote me on this, but I do believe the clerk of court was the one office that the state kind of said, here, I want full control, because there's been some argument in the past over who owns the data of the clerk of court's office. I don't know where that all landed, but I do know that there was some, at one Mako meeting, there was some discussion over that too, as to who.
Well, and all our equipment isn't county issued, it's state issued, and they have very rigid controls over what we can and cannot have on those state computers. Stuff that county computers can have, we aren't. It blocks you. You're not allowed to go to that site. You're not allowed to do this.
Kind of seems to me that when it comes to the legal portions of the county, the state kind of maybe has a little grasp, reimburses the county attorney, owns the.
There's still a lot of state mandated stuff there with our jail and stuff, but
So,
state says we have to do legal people.
but
So I guess with all of that said, my recommendation would just be the $3,500, because I will say last year, the amount I was given, it didn't even cover cost of living off of my base salary last year. So 3,500 this year would at least be cost of living. That's all I'm asking for here.
well, would you like to form that in a motion, Tom?
If you would like me to, yes, I'd be more
Please,
than happy,
please.
to make a motion for 3,500 across the board for all elected officials.
Okay. Tom, our county attorney has made the motion of a $3,500 flat across the board to the elected officials as a motion. Do we have a second?
Didn't vote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, no, you're,
How this works, you guys vote, and then we have to vote to agree with your vote. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, cause I've never been.
You guys recommend, if you guys recommend this 3,500, we'll take a straw poll with us three, and if we don't agree, then we keep on talking. If we agree, then we'll take it to our next meeting for a vote.
I'll second.
okay. Motion by Tom, second by Gary, all in favor of the compensation board, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed. Back to,
Question,
go ahead.
will your budget support that?
Yes,
Absolutely.
it's about it'd be about a 30, say $400,000. Just base, and then you're at about 600 with the other stuff, and we can support that with no problem.
So our two offices will support.
So, I mean, will it support it, because, you know,
In the
granted,
future, it's always there.
you know, you've got your increases in, your retirement.
That's why I just said it's about 600,000, 300 on face, 600 total. And I don't support it.
Roselle County is in very good standing right now. Hopefully it continues that way in the future, but we're doing very well.
Yeah, our
And
budgets were all in green.
Yes.
Every budget was in green last year.
Yep.
It's been-
And we have been blessed by some nice
Natural
oil
resources.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well, that's about 20% of our budget right now, income, so it wasn't.
just our recording fees in my office for recording documents was almost $60,000 more than anticipated, just for recording fees.
That's-
last year.
That's unanticipated revenue.
I know I talked to the county commissioner from Sydney today. And he said Roosevelt County's number 2 now.
Yeah. Yeah, about
Yes.
a year and a half ago, we became number 2 producer of oil.
And it sounded like all the future production is going into the Roosevelt County side of it right now.
By Culbertson, just, there's 3 wells drilling right now.
Our
Actively
leases are, the amount of leases
But
we're
the-
recording.
But that takes 18 months before you get the money out.
Yeah,
right, and I understand,
So
but-
it's gonna take 2 years to get that money, but. it'll
You know,
be
the
there.
other thing about it is that. And you guys have to keep this in mind, and well, everybody does, that, you know, the oil funds are here today, gone tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't rely on them.
You can't, it can help heal you, but it doesn't solve.
But when we budget, we really don't budget that well revenue,
No,
Good,
you know, so a lot of that becomes a reserve.
your capital replacement.
yeah, we kind of keep that at one figure and hope for more, but we keep it at
Yeah.
a certain dollar amount,
we've
and then
never-
it's just more than anticipated.
Because if,
when the
yeah, if you
first comes
spent
in.
all of that, you
Yep.
budgeted 100% of that, it could be trashed down real quick.
That's why we've been in the green so well, because we keep that number, the anticipated revenue at a certain amount, and then we're bringing in hopefully more than
So
double
it
that.
really helps your reserves.
Yes,
I think Roosevelt County's set up to be in a very, very good position. I don't wanna throw a year on it, but. Very good position for the next 20 to 50 years, if we.
But there is a lot of legislative talk on changing all this
You never
too. I
know
mean,
what's
everybody
gonna
complains about property taxes, they're blaming the counties to,
Yeah.
and they wanna reduce property tax by 20%. Well, that's gonna reduce our big budget by 20%, but they're excluding the schools, which spend 70% of the
Yeah,
property
isn't that
taxes.
ridiculous?
So it's not gonna affect your property tax bill very much, but it sure affect our
the
budget.
county, yeah.
That was a constitutional initiative that's died, but it's gonna come back in legislative this year. It's gonna be there in some form this year. So our budgets, I mean, you have to be cautious on these. And with this, even with this raise, it's still,
Was a retired individual between property taxes and insurance. My house, we're looking at $500 a month.
yeah.
That's why I can't ever retire.
And
The
that's,
insurance,
and you
Yeah.
gotta realize that property tax, we use 34% of that for our county government. The rest is schools.
my pie chart, it's of all my taxes that I pay, my pie chart, 16% of that goes to the county.
And that you'd have your city taxes and
Yeah.
stuff, you know, your city.
Well, of the whole 100%, 16, only 16% goes to Roosevelt County.
Crazy.
So am I the only outside person that's on this board?
We have one from
Others,
Culbertson and
Yeah.
he,
baby, his son had 2 twin babies
Oh,
a
yeah, me too.
week ago, so he took off to Minnesota.
so we usually have, two members from the public and 5 elected, I think, per MCA code. And the emails went out to everybody to attend and we got
Yeah.
emails back to the ones that couldn't attend, so.
But this is recorded as public, so it's.
Oh, it should be.
Yeah. So the motion was made, seconded and passed. It comes back to the commission and
I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation.
all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, motion passed. We will take this and it will be on our next regular commission meeting for the official vote and institute.
Again, this is just for elected official compensation.
So the official will come in a regular weekly meeting. This was just concluded the compensation portion of it. Any other discussion? I have a motion. We are closed at 1:39. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I just